Hello, I am Musa Sebarua from Educare, and we are proceeding from solving different Necta questions in our subject geography. And today we are going to solve Necta 2018 question number 9, which states that explain 5 factors which influence the distribution of natural forest in the world. Question number 9, Necta 2018, which states that explain 5 factors which influence the distribution of natural forest in the world. So our question need a candidate to explain or to describe 5 factors which influence distribution of natural forest in the world. So here our key term in our question is natural forest. A student is supposed to explain factors which influence distribution, spread of natural forest in the world. So this is an essay type question. The candidate may tackle it by dividing it into 3 parts: introduction, main body, and conclusion. And now let us start with introduction part. In our introduction part, we are going to define the term forest, as we see that in our question the key term is natural forest. So we can define first forest, and then we see what is natural forest, and then after we'll go in direct to see those factors which influence the distribution of natural forest in the world. By starting, we see that forest is the collection of trees and other species. Forest can be natural or artificial. Here we see that is a collection of trees. Tunasema kwamba forest ni collection of trees and other species, muunganiko ama ni ile miti ambayo iko sehemu moja, lakini pia inakuwa kuna species nyingine kama vile kuna grasses, shrubs. So kwa ufupi hiyo ndio definition of forest, collection of trees and other species. Na tunasema kwamba forest can be artificial or natural. When we talk about artificial na forest, we talk about those planted forest by human, miti ambayo imepandwa na binadamu. But when we talk about natural forest here, those forests occurred naturally without being planted by human being. Example, Amazon forest. Hapa tunasema kwamba natural forest ni ile misitu ambayo ni asili. Hii inakuwa haijapandwa na binadamu, lakini inakuwa imetokea yenyewe. Hivyo ipo kama ilivyo, haijapandwa na mtu yoyote. Na mfano mzuri hapa ni Amazon forest. Is an example of natural forest. So in short or in brief, this is our introduction part. Talk about forest and natural forest. Now let us shift to our main body, whereby we are going to discuss different factors which influence distribution of natural forest in the world. We say that natural forest is unevenly distributed in the world due to various factors like the following. Tunasema kwamba natural forest hazipatikani kote duniani, is unevenly distributed. Unakuta labda Kongo ipo, sehemu fulani ipo, unaenda labda Sudani hamna. So it is unevenly distributed and it is influenced by the following factor. The first factor, we say that climate. And we say that areas with high temperature and rainfall influence the growth of thicket natural forest with long trees, while areas with low rainfall characterized by little natural forest. Example, Amazon forest found in equatorial climate where there is high temperature and rainfall. Here we talk about climate, and when we talk about climate, always we talk about those two main elements of climate, which is temperature and rainfall. And we say that in those areas where there is high rainfall and temperature, it influences more growth or development of thicket natural forest. For example, here we talk about Amazon. Amazon is found in equatorial region, whereby there are high temperature and rainfall compared to other places. So we see that in those places where there are low temperature, but also there are low rainfall, we find that there is no or there is little distribution of natural forests. For example, in desert areas, it is very rare to find a forest in desert areas. So the main reason is that there is either low temperature and rainfall, or there is low rainfall but there is high temperature. So that is the first factor which determines the distribution of natural forests in the world. Tunazungumzia climate, hali ya hewa. Hizi sehemu ambazo zinakuwa zina mvua nyingi lakini pia na joto la kutosha, kunakuwa hii misitu ya asili na inakuwa vizuri na inastawi maeneo hayo, tofauti na zile sehemu ambazo hali yake ya hewa haisapoti hii misitu ya asili kuwepo. Kwa mfano maeneo ya jangwani, unajua kwamba kuna harsh climate, kuna joto jingi lakini mvua hamna. Sasa ni vigumu kukuta nini hizi natural forest. So that is the first factor which influence distribution of natural forest in the world. The second one is topography. When we talk about topography, here we talk about relief, the general landscape, the general appearance of landscape. Here we talk about highland and lowlands, but also here we talk about the windy side and the lee side of the mountain. And we say that The windy side of the mountain supports growth of trees and development of secret natural forest because they receive high rainfall, while leeward side has a little rainfall, hence there is little distribution of natural forest. When you talk about windward and leeward side of the mountain, here we talk about two sides of mountains. Unakuta kwamba katika zile pande mbili za mlima kuna upande ambao huwa unapokea mvua nyingi, huu tunaoita windward side, na huu upande huwa unasapoti sana hii misitu ya asili. Unakuta kuna misitu ya asili ambayo ni minene na ina miti mirefu compared to those areas in leeward side. Hii maeneo ambayo tunasema sana leeward side, upande wa pili wa mlima ambao haupokei mvua, unakuwa na low rainfall, hivyo unakuwa una little distribution of natural forest. So that is how topography affect distribution of natural forest in the world. You see that here we talk about two sides, leeward side and windward side. In windward side we have high distribution of natural forest compared with the leeward side where there is little distribution of natural forest. Yes, another factor here we talk about soil. And when we talk about soil here, we talk about the uppermost part of the earth, which is covered by weathered and unweathered material and it's supporting plant growth. Here we talk about areas with deep soil influence the growth of secret natural forest with long trees. Example, Congo Basin has dense natural forest, but also areas with shallow soil, there is no or little distribution of natural forest. Example, in steep slope areas with bare rocks. Here we talk about soil. And when we talk about soil, here we talk about those areas where there is deep soil and those areas where there is shallow soil. In areas where there is deep soil, always support growth of secret natural forest. Unakuta kwamba ile maeneo ambayo yana udongo ambao umeendelea vizuri na rutuba na umejaa vizuri, huu una support hii misitu ya asili inakuwa. Na mfano mzuri ni kule Congo Basin. Kwenye Congo Basin pale kuna deep soil ambayo ina support vizuri hii occurrence of growth of natural forest compared to those areas where there are shallow soil. For example, in steep slope areas with bare rocks, it is very difficult to find natural forest in those areas. So that is how soil influences distribution of natural forest in the world. Another factor here we talk about human activities. Shughuli za kibinadamu. And here human activities like agriculture and construction activities decrease the distribution of natural forest through deforestation. The areas with no human interference support more growth of natural forests. Hapa sasa tunazungumzia shughuli za kibinadamu, kwa mfano kilimo pamoja na shughuli za ujenzi, mabarabara, kuanzisha settlement mpya. Ina discourage more growth of natural forest. For instance, you might find that in the area where previously there are natural forests, you find that people they are clearing those areas for establishing agriculture, but others are clearing those areas for other human activities. So they discourage growth of natural forest, and sometimes they clear all natural forest in that area. But in areas where there is no human interference, for instance, those agricultural activities and those construction activities, you find that there are high distribution of natural forest. Hapa tunazungumzia kwamba yale maeneo ambayo binadamu sasa hayaingilii, hakuna interference, unakuta hizi natural forest distribution yake ni kubwa, yani kwamba zinatokea kwa sehemu kubwa, tofauti na yale maeneo ambayo binadamu anaingilia kwa ajili ya kuanzisha labda kilimo, lakini pia na makazi. So that is another factor which influences distribution of natural forest in the world. Another factor here we talk about altitude. And when we talk about altitude, we say that altitude affects temperature and rainfall. Low temperature is that in shallow growth and smaller size, while high temperature produce more luxury growth. As we said before, that when we talk about altitude, we talk about here we talk about temperature and rainfall. It affects temperature and rainfall. For instance, in high altitudes there are high temperature and there are high rainfall, but sometimes there are low temperature. So you find that in those areas where there are high rainfall, always natural forests occur because of that rainfall. But in those areas where there is little rainfall, we find that there is poor or there is no occurrence of natural forest. So here we talk about temperature and rainfall, and the temperature and rainfall always affected by altitude. So altitude is another factor which determine or influence the distribution of natural forest in the world. And that is the main body for our question, and we have already discussed those key 5 arguments which influence distribution of natural forests in the world. Now let us see the conclusion part of our question. And we say that the forest is very important for social and economic development, but also it is helpful in rainfall formation as well as reducing carbon dioxide in the world. So we must protect forest resource. Hapa sasa mwanafunzi anaweza akaconclude kwa kuonyesha umuhimu wa misitu na ni kwa nini tuilinde. Here we talk about natural forests. Those natural forests are very important for economic development, but also apart from those economic development, it reduces the rate of carbon dioxide in the world, as we know that plant is always reduce carbon dioxide, but also it helps in rainfall formation. So it is very important to protect those natural forests for sustainable development of our country. So that is how a student may conclude this question. And here we have other part which show other related question. And we have 3 questions. The first question is that account for the distribution of natural forests in the world. It needs a student to provide reasons or factors which show distribution of natural forests in the world. The second question states that natural forests is unevenly distributed in the world. Justifies this quotation by 5 points. So as I said before when we started our main body, that natural forest is unevenly distributed. So a student or candidate is supposed to show those factors which show the uneven or prove or influence the uneven distribution of natural forests in the world. But the last question is distribution of natural forests in the world determined by climate only. Distribution of natural forests in the world determined by climate only. Discuss. Here a student, the question have provided only one factor which determine or influence the distribution of natural forests in the world. So here a student is supposed to agree that although climate is determining the distribution of natural forests, but there are other factors like those we have discussed already in our question. So that is how a student may tackle this question. And here we have a summary of those points that may be used to answer this question. For instance, here we have climate, we have soil, human activities, altitude, and topography. So a student, by knowing those points, will be in a good position of answering those previous questions. Having said so, this marks the end of our session. Let us meet on the next session.
Purchase your tracks today.